What's going on, Paisanos? Z here. Today I have my SHADDOLL INVOKED deck. Now, I don't play Dogmatica. I'm not a big fan of Dogmatica, and I'll talk all about that after the profile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go over the main, side, and extra, and then I'll give you guys my reasons and my choices of why I decided to play certain cards, why I decided not to play certain cards, why I have my matches set for certain decks. I think this is definitely the best deck of the format, and the reason why I say that so confidently is because this deck has a great matchup against everything, and not a bad matchup against anything, and I really like that. Also, if you play against Dinos, this deck just auto wins. Anyway, we'll show you, like I said, I'll show you the mains, 40 cards, side and extra, and then I'll tell you everything else about it. So, for the SHADDOLL package, we got 2 SHADDOLL Squamadas, we got 2 SHADDOLL Hedgehogs, we got 2 Red SHADDOLL Wendy's, 1 Ariel, 1 Beast, and 1 Dragon. So that's basically the SHADDOLL engine of the deck. Okay? Of course, we're going to be running 3 Alistairs, and for some hand traps, we're going to be running 3 Lancias, 3 Phantasmes, and 3 Ash Blossom, and that's the monster lineup of the deck as well. Then we're going to have spells. 3 SHADDOLL Fusions, 2 L SHADDOLL Fusions, 3 Suapotimizations, 3 Magical Meltdown, 2 Invocation, Corbett of Grave, Fool's Burial, Terraforming, and Upstart Goblin. And then for the trap lineup, it's going to be Red SHADDOLL Incarnation and SHADDOLL Schism. So that's the spell lineup. And that's the deck, it's 40 cards. For the extra deck, we got 2 Construct. Can you guys see that? Good. 2 Construct, 2 Wendy, 2 App Cologne. For the Invoke package, we got Rajin, Purgatorio, Orgoides, and Mechaba. And then we also have, we're playing 1 each of Draxapelia and Starring Venom Fusion Dragon, 1 Gravity Controller, 1 Artemis, and 1 Verde Anaconda. So this is basically the main extra deck lineup. Once again, it's 15 cards in the extra deck. I'll tell you why I cut certain cards and why I thought that was the right choice. For the side, though, we're going to talk about 3 Dark Rule No More, 3 Triple Tactics Talents, Harvest Veilduster, 2 Cosmic Cyclone, Triple Evenly Match, and Triple Nibiru. So let's go backwards in the side, extra deck, and then we'll talk about the main deck. So the reason why I don't main Nibiru and decide to main Lancia is because Nibiru is really good against dragons, but it's really bad against every other deck. I think against, like, let's say dinosaurs, Lancia is infinitely better. Let's say against Eldritch, Lancia is infinitely better. Let's say against a Bird Up, Lancia is infinitely better. Nibiru is only good against a very certain amount of matchups, mainly Dragon Link right now. So that's why I decided to put the side rather than the main. It was between Evenly Matched and Lightning Storms, and I decided to play Evenly Matched because another matchup. This deck is a resource-based deck. And the reason why I built it that way and I like it that way, because you make good plays, the deck rewards you. Make bad plays, you get punished. And looking at this deck and how it is, I really do like the fact that this deck is phenomenal at trying to gain advantage immediately. And Lightning Storm's not a bad card, but I feel like Evenly Match is a better card, especially if we're seeing a lot of Eldritch variants in which Evenly Match really blows that deck out the water. Lightning Storm's not bad, I just think Evenly Match is a better card this format. For the removal, we're playing 2 Cosmic Cyclones and 1 Harpy's Featherduster. You can arguably say, well, why don't we play 3 Lightning Storms here? And I would agree with you normally, but due to the fact that we have Mystic Mind, we need outs. And these are the outs of Mystic Mind. Cyclones and Harpy's Featherduster, and that's how you get rid of that. That's why we can't play Lightning Storm. I just want to play Mystic Mind. I want to end phase, Cyclone their Mind, and kill them the following turn. And punish them for playing Mind. The reason why we play 3 Triple Attack Talents is because everyone is playing Dragoons, and I feel like this card's amazing against Dragoons. Obviously, if we're going into game 2, now that opponent knows our game 1 strategy, they might want to try to play more hand traps. There's a lot of cards in here that are really good to Ash, and I feel like if I play Talents, that just allows me to reset the game state. Or if I'm already ahead, let's say I have a window on board, I'm going to Talents take a card on my opponent's hand, so now I know they can't have a direct answer to my window. So this card's actually really important. The reason why we don't main this card is because if we go second, it's not as good. Nevertheless, it's a phenomenal card. I think every player should be at least siding it. We played Dark Rule No More over Forbidden Droplet because, once again, we're playing a resource-based game, and Dark Rule No More is an amazing card in a resource-based game. I Dark Rule No More you, I clean your board, and that's it. Whereas with Forbidden Droplet, we have to send cards away, and we don't really get an advantage of sending cards. So that's why the side deck is meant for what it's meant for. I might follow up and do another video on this deck and talk about like what you should side in for what matches. I mean, I played 4 rounds today. I went X1, and I've been going X1 a lot with this deck, but like this deck has a lot of matches in which I automatically know what to side in and side out. It's very simple, it's very easy, depending on obviously if we want to go first or second. We'll talk about the extra deck in a second, actually. So let me talk about the main deck and the reason why I like the main deck exactly why it is, and the reason why I'm playing this deck over something like Dragon Link, which people might say is the best deck in the format, and it might be that. Except we have Super Poly, and this card is the best card of the format. It doesn't matter what you make, my Super Poly is infinitely better. My Super Poly cleans your board out, bro. Like, you're not going to be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I really like that. So I think this card is one of the reasons why I decided to play. If you notice, I'm not playing Dogmatica, and here's the reason why. Dogmatica is not good this format, the way I see it. So people are playing Dogmatica Invoke SHADDOLLs. I played, I think, like 4 or 5 Dogmatica Invoke SHADDOLLs. I lost to 1. That's because I was late in one game. On the game we did play, I was late in one game, so I got a game loss. And in the other game, he just had the nuts, and I had nothing. I mean, he had everything, and I had nothing, so unfortunately I lost that. But overall, every other matchup that's Dogmatica Invoke SHADDOLL, this deck can outgrind it. Every card I play gains me resources. So Dogmatica Invoke SHADDOLL, you're trying to take resources away. But how can you take resources away from a construct that's going to plus immediately? Or when you pop it, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I really feel like Dogmatica Invoke SHADDOLL is a great deck in the wrong format. And I feel like this deck is the best deck because this deck is phenomenal at breaking boards. Not only breaking boards, but making boards. And I really do like that about this deck a lot. Once I play Magical Meltdown and that resolves, all my fusion cards become like Super Poly in a sense, in which the minute I activate them, my opponent really doesn't have a nice way to respond properly to it, and I get to do a lot of broken plays. So the way I see it, I have 6, and with Terraforming 7 ways to make my opponent not do anything. Obviously, if they ask Magical Meltdown, that's a big hit, but nevertheless, we have so many other ways to just continue playing the game. It really doesn't matter. So that's why I think this card is really, really good this format. Looking at the trap cards, I know people like to play that third Shadow trap. It's too slow. This deck needs to get going, and I don't like that card. Skills is a big deal because if I can skills my opponent's turn, that means my win is sticks, and that's a big deal for a lot of decks. The reason we play Restaurant Incarnation is because if we discard it, we can activate in the same turn, flipping a headshot, getting value immediately. Once again, immediately. I play Upstart because I didn't know what the 40th card was to be in this deck. I don't like to run 2 Upstart fusions. I feel like we don't need it. We already have, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 ways. Arguably, if you want to add this in, you know, we're talking 14 ways to get to a fusion card, so I don't feel like we didn't need another fusion card. But yeah, I think Upstart Goblin is a way better card. Easy side out, by the way. Obviously, if you're going to time, this is one of the easiest cards to side out. And it allows your deck to be as consistent as possible. You Upstart, you gain Super Poly or Magical Meltdown, you're in the money. Why would you not want to have a better chance of doing that? So that's why I put that card in. Obviously, you still need to play Call by the Grave. I mean, if you don't have Magical Meltdown, you go Shadow Fusions. They're going to ask you better have that Call by the Grave. That's kind of the reason why, so I put that in there. I think the Shadow ratio is perfect. I wouldn't change nothing else out of it. So people like to play an extra card here, extra card there. This is the exact ratio I think you would need to play. Another thing I like a lot is Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. And this is probably one of my favorite cards in this deck because this deck opens not the most optimal hands at times, and Phantasme allows you to cycle that in relatively quickly to get the most optimal amount of cards in your hand. And then from there, you can modify what you really want to have and want to play. And once again, if you're opening your fusion cards, you're just back ends. So you got Upstart, you got Phantasme. They're going to help you get to your Super Pods. It's going to help you get to your Meltdowns, and it's going to stop your opponent from playing the game or break their board. Because the minute you break a lot of decks right now in the meta, I feel like the minute you break their board and slap a window, they're not more than likely not going to walk away from that. That's going to be your game. That game's going to belong to you. So I think Phantasme is insanely important. Once again, I think Atlantis is a must-have card. It's also a light target for sure. Construct, so that's a big deal. And Ash is just a generic good hand trap. It's probably the best generic hand trap I can put in here. If you don't want to play Ash, you can play in Perm. I think Ash is better, especially if opponents can try his eyes and gain advantage. You just Ash him and stop that immediately. So yeah, I mean, this is exactly the 40 count. I personally think it's the perfect count. You can always take out Upstart for something else, I guess, but I want to maintain as much consistency as possible because I want to see into my fusion spells. Growing these cards is great, but if you don't see into this lineup, you're gonna lose that game. Arguably with Schism as well. So that's why I really, really like this lineup and the way it is right as the deck. Once again, I don't like Dogmatica Invoked. Dogmatica Invoke SHADDOLLs. Did I say Elic? Dogmatica Invoke SHADDOLLs is because this deck blows that deck out the water like it's not even there. This deck's incredibly good against Dinosaurs, which is another deck that a lot of players like to play. This deck just walks right through that deck, and this deck generally has a great matchup against a lot of decks in the game. So I'm going to put some stuff to the side. We're going to talk about the extra deck, which I feel like a lot of people are going to have a lot of issues with, but I really want to go over why every card is essential. We played 2 constructs and not a third one. That hurts a lot because I love a third construct. I have an ulti one. Why would I not want to put it in there? Ulti first edition. The reason why is because we just don't have enough room. Every card is essential. 2 ulti constructs, you're going to go through 2 of them. 2 windows, yeah, you're always going to go through 2 windows. And 2 app clones. There was a build I ran 1 app clone, but I feel like as the game gets more grindier, especially a mirror match variant of this deck, your second app clone is going to be huge in stopping your opponent's schism. If you stop your opponent's schism and you maintain magical meltdown, you're going to win that game. Unless they can find a way to stop your schism and slow you down, which if they're playing a hybrid variant and running Dogmatica, I guess so they could do it, but it's just not that good. I feel like this deck really just walks right through that matchup. So that's why second app clone is essential. I go into a lot, and I feel like a lot of players that play this deck also go into a lot. For the invokes, and this is something a lot of players once again might have an issue with, and let me explain why. Raging is one of the best cards. Well, not only to play generically, because, I mean, once again, we have Wendy, who's a wind, but also good against the Bird Up matchup. This card is insane against Bird Up. You summon any Shadow monster. I'm sorry, you summon Alistair, Magical Meltdown, once again, Terraforming Upstart. You go into Alistair, and whatever your opponent does, if you get a Super Poly in your hand, you're going to make it into a Raging. You're going to break your opponent's board with Super Poly and any invoked card, Alistair or anything like that. So that's why I think Raging is important. Another cool thing about Raging is one of my favorite plays is to Wendy and set the Shaddoll Hedgehog. In the same turn, you could also rest Shaddoll, by the way, and flip that Hedgehog. The cool thing about this card is it resets. Why would you not want to do that? It's huge. Also, this card plus Winda equals your opponent's probably not going to have a good day. This card and Winda on board just shuts your opponent down. I really like that a lot. I think it's really cool. So I think a lot of players might start playing this card again. I respect the Bird Up matchup 100%. And if you don't have this card, you're going to lose to that matchup. So why would you lose to the matchup when you can put 1 card in to help you win that matchup? So that's why I think this card is insanely important. If you're not testing it out, please start testing it out. Check it out for yourself. It's really good against Bird Up and really good against the longer games in which you want to set some of your Shadow cards to gain more advantage. Because once again, if you're not getting advantage with this deck, you're losing immediately, quickly. So you always need to gain advantage. Another card is Purgatrio. We're seeing some players not care about this card. This card ends games. Like, we don't play Borosword, we don't play Axis Code, we don't need to play those cards. We have Purgatrio. This card, if you do your math correctly, your Purgatrio is going to win you games that you really should not win. Turns that your opponent should have, this card's going to take that away from your opponent. This card's phenomenal, and I highly recommend it. And of course, you always play Ogoides and 1 Mechaba. Now, this is another card that hurts me a lot. I took away a Mechaba, I took away a Construct, and I really do like playing 3 Construct and 2 Mechaba, but we just don't have enough room. The number 1 card I love is Predator Plant Verdant Anaconda. The reason I didn't make this up profile sooner is because I didn't have this card. I just recently got it in the mail. This card's insane. Predator Plant Verdant Anaconda lets you copy Super Poly without discarding. You just go Anaconda, send Super Poly, and now we Super Poly. We'll just do Super Poly. And then you could go into either your Starring Venom Fusion or your Predator Plant Draxapelia. We'll talk about that in a second. This card also lets you use Shadoll Fusion. Pretty good. Shadoll Fusion. Not bad. But I think this card is absolutely broken. I think a lot of players that are looking to play Shadoll variants are not playing this card. And this card, once again, is going to help you be aggressive. We want to break the opponent's board and end them that turn. We don't want to give them any more turns than we have to. And this card helps facilitate that. And then we have Predator Plant Draxapelio and Starring Venom Fusion Dragon. Both of these are needed. This is really good against the Dragon matchup, the Dragon Link matchup, because they have a bunch of darks on board, and you just use this card, and you get rid of those darks, and then you're allowed to make this card, and that card's really good. This card's good against a lot of other variants, especially variants, once again, that are variants of this deck, in which it needs a Fusion and Dark Monster. So your opponent has a Mechaba on board, and you draw, and they go, oh, okay, now I'm going to go into Winda. This card gets you there. It allows you to do that. You can't do it with Starring Venom Fusion Dragon. You can do it with Draxapelio. So that's why I feel like Anaconda is huge, and these 2 cards are both essential. There's no negotiating. If you're gonna summon them, if you're looking to go into Anaconda and use these, or I really should say Super Poly for these, you're gonna need both targets all the time. All the time. That's it. 100%. This card's huge. Every time I saw this card, I broke my opponent's board. This card is the God card. It's the best card in the deck. Arguably next to Magical Meltdown. I think it's still better than Magical Meltdown. And whatever board I played against, whether it be the Invoked variants that Drexapelia is amazing in, or whether it be the Dragoling variant that Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is amazing in, this card allows you to break their entire board. One card breaks that 30-minute turn. That is absolutely amazing, and I feel like a lot of players don't respect both these cards. We're seeing builds only playing Drexapelia, but once again, if you're looking to play against Dragoling players, this is the card you play. This is exactly the card you play. You don't need to play anything else. You go into Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, and you might not see yourself going to Drexapelia as much. Can you go into it still? Of course you can. You go win as you said Poly. The minute your opponent tries to threaten you, you can go Drexapelia if you want to. Not ideal, but something you can do. Set of Shadow Monsters, said Poly. Once again, Shadow Extract Monster, should we say. You can do it, I guess. But, like, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon is just much better of a card. Also, if they destroy this card, their board gets wiped out from Special Summon Monsters? Special Summon Monsters. That rarely happens, and that's why I had to just read it right now. But this is my choice. This is my deck. I think this is, once again, the best deck of the meta. I feel like a lot of players that are looking to play whatever deck, let's say Dragon Link or Dinos or other decks that run Dogmatica, you're gonna find those. If that's all you're playing at your locals, you're gonna find you have an easy locals. Against Dragon Link players, you stick Winda, and you break the board with Poly. Against Dino players, well, if you're playing this deck, you probably already know this deck has an insanely good matchup against Dino players. Cut the Dogmatica package, which is slower, and play this stuff. And your matchup's infinitely better. Once again, you get Magical Meltdown, Super Poly. You also play Lancia, so you're going to slow them down. You side out your Phantasmics for 3 of any other cards. I might do a side video in the future of what to side out going first or second. Every card in my side deck is being used for going first and second. Well, I don't fully side 15, obviously, but like what I'm saying is I automatically know what to side out and what not to side out when I'm going first or second against any matchup right now, as far as like the meta decks. I think it's really important as well. But yeah, guys, I really appreciate you guys watching my video. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Hit the like button, comment down below. There's gonna be a ton of questions, so let me know those questions. I'll try to answer them, or maybe I'll just try to do another video. But this is Shadoll Invoked, easily the best deck in the format. It can fight everything equally, and it has no bad matchups. That's a pretty good deck. If you're a good player, this deck rewards you. If you're a bad player, the deck's amazing at punishing you for plays that you should have won. And anyway, Paisanos, it's your boy V, and you Paisanos have a great day.